Hello students, welcome in the second lecture. Last lecture of solution chapter was completely based on some introductory knowledge of the chapter, and we actually talked about the different methods, concept, types of solution, and some basic knowledge about the different types of compositions of solutions as saturated, unsaturated, supersaturated conditions, and some other factors which actually affect the composition of solution to making the solution. So about that, and after that there is some other topic actually that remain unexplained, and that is solubility of solid in a liquid. As in the last lecture I told you, this chapter actually belongs about the first two pages, the solubility of solid in the liquid, then concentration terms, the concentration units, and the different units already given in the class 11th chapter 1st, class 11th chapter 1st. We'll discuss about solubility of gases in the liquid. That will be Henry's law, the introduction of the first basic theory of this chapter. Then solubility of liquid into liquid will introduce you Raoult's law and the properties of the liquid into liquid. So actually the 70 more than 70% of this chapter belongs to the miscibility of two different liquids, binary solution, where the Raoult's law will introduce the different concept about the solution between two different liquids, if they are volatile, non-volatile, what are the nature of solution according to colligative properties, and some different corrections about that will be introduced by Van factor. So actually this chapter basically belongs to the two different components of the liquid when mixed together to form a miscible solution. But to reach there, we have to go through some of the basic knowledge of the chapter, and that belongs to the topic solubility of solid in a liquid. Today we'll discuss about solubility of a solid in a liquid. So study in the last lecture I told you the supersaturated condition, that is actually in a dynamic equilibrium between a particle of solute already dissolved and particles of solute settled down on the bottom. So there is a dynamic equilibrium between them, and that dynamic equilibrium can be disturbed by a different parameters, different systematic conditions, factors like a temperature, pressure, concentration. And if the equilibrium will disturb, the equilibrium may reach forward or backward depending upon the condition changed. For example, if in a supersaturated condition, which is in a dynamic equilibrium, actually there are two different types of solid. The one type of solid that is in a solution means dissolved solid particles, and one solid which is undissolved, settled down on the bottom. If we disturb the equilibrium, this reaction, this process may forwarded backward or may forwarded forward direction. And that is simple. If a process go forward, the process go forward, you can see there will be precipitation process takes place. Precipitation or crystallization, both the same term, that indicating the particle, the dissolved particle coming out, the dissolved particle become undissolved. That is called precipitation process or a crystallization process. For some time, when we have a supersaturated condition solution or a saturated solution condition and we cooled the solution, we decrease the temperature, some dissolved particle coming out, some dissolved particle precipitated out, indicating the solution actually shifted in a forward direction. Same time, if due to the some other factor, if the reaction, if the undissolved particle which is settled on the bottom, dissolve, get in the solution, go in the solution, this process is called dissolution. Dissolution means to making a process, to making a solution, to making a solution. To making a solution, that is called dissolution. So undissolved particle go in the solution, become a dissolved. We have to be learn what are the nature of the factor that will disturb the equilibrium actually. So conditionally we will learn all those factors which is responsible for to disturb the equilibrium in the unsaturated condition, supersaturated condition, or in a saturated condition. Because saturated also may become a supersaturated, or a supersaturated may become a saturated depending upon some factors that will affect the solubility of a solute in a solvent. And before that, we have to be learn the mechanism, the process of dissolution, how we actually getting the solution by mixing two different components of the solution, that is called solute and solvent. So what is the mechanism of the making a solution or to be a dissolution? And for that we have two different things. The one thing is, due to solvation, solid solute, the solid particles may dissolve due to solvation, the general term using for a solvent, or due to water called hydration. Actually, there is a one type of energy called hydration energy or solvation energy that is responsible for to break down the force between the particle in the lattice. The three-dimensional arrangement of the constituent particle are called lattice. So if the molecules, if the compounds are ionic, so due to solvation, this is actually belongs to the ionic molecules. If the solute is ionic, that thing, the hydration energy or a salvation energy must be greater than lattice energy. For ionic solute, the salvation is the one of the important factor that will actually break the lattice formed by ionic particle. And whenever the actually ionic solute associate with the water molecule or the solvent molecule, if the solvent is a polar, you have to be rewind that thing. If a solvent is a polar, so whenever the ionic molecule associate with the polar solvent or a water molecule, the extra amount of energy released during the process called hydration energy or a salvation energy. Hydration energy in the case of water, salvation energy in the case of other solvent, other polar solvent. So whenever the ionic molecule, ionic solute associate with approaching the polar molecule, the amount of energy released called salvation energy. In the case of water called hydration energy. That energy must be enough to break the force of attraction between ionic particles in the lattice. So that's why salvation energy must be greater than lattice energy to break the lattice, and that will be responsible for dissolution of ionic solute in a water or any other solvent. That is the one of the important factor. That is the one of the important factor. So if hydration energy is greater, lattice energy is the smaller, the ionic solute be easily dissolved in the water. That will be the one of the factor responsible, and that is also called mechanism. The other thing is here, due to hydrogen bonding. This is actually for covalent molecule, covalent solute. Actually, in covalent solute, if the solute molecule having an extent of a tendency of hydrogen bonding with a solvent molecule or with a water molecule, they will dissolve easily in the water. They will not form any kind of lattice. Even they can dissolve in the water without dissociation, without ionization. Generally, lattice ionic solute dissociate or ionize in the water or any solvent to be dissolved. But covalent molecule, this is not necessary. They will be dissociate or ionized to be dissolved. They can be easily dissolved without dissociation or without ionization because of the making a hydrogen bond between a water molecule or a solvent molecule with a solute molecule. So covalent solute, generally they form a hydrogen bonding. So extent of hydrogen bonding will decide the extent of solubility. Extent of solubility. Extent of hydrogen bonding will decide. Sorry. For example, sugar molecule means glucose, fructose, sucrose, the different carbohydrate that will be dissolved in the water. This is because of the hydrogen bonding of the molecule of solute with water molecule. They actually not dissociate in the water. They actually make a hydrogen bonding, and extent of hydrogen bonding responsible for the solubility of these molecules. Extent of hydrogen bonding. For example, starch is insoluble in water. This is because they cannot form hydrogen bonding with the molecule because there is a polymer structure. Polymerization is there. Glucose, fructose, sucrose, they can easily dissolve in the water because they can easily form a hydrogen bond with the water molecule. At the same time, urea is also one of the important molecule, a solute molecule that can be easily make a hydrogen bond with water, so they can dissolve in the water. Actually, glucose or urea both are non-electrolyte, means they will not dissociate into their ions. Glucose means carbohydrates and urea both are non-electrolyte. They will not be dissociate. They actually dissolve because of the hydrogen bonding. So hydrogen bonding responsible for the dissolution of some covalent molecule which will not ionize. If they ionize, the responsibility of the dissolution depends upon the salvation energy. For example, different alkali halides, different acids, different bases, they dissolve because they ionize. And during ionization, some salvation energy is responsible for to break the bond between them, the force of attraction between them. These two important factors responsible for mechanism of the dissolution. Then we'll learn the factors affecting, means how many type of different factors which will responsible for dissolution process or a solubility process of a different solid solute in a liquid. And for that we are having nature of solute and nature of solvent, and there is also one of the important factor called temperature. Temperature is always important factor in a different solubility. No matter this is a gaseous process or solid process or liquid process, but temperature is the one of the important process between them, factor between them. Nature of solute, as earlier said in a above section, the solute nature, because the solute is ionic or a covalent, solute get ionized or get hydrogen bond. So nature of solute will decide what is the solubility of a solute in the solvent. Sometime like some other molecule, like suppose we have a calcium carbonate which is ionic but insoluble in water. Calcium carbonate is ionic even insoluble in water because they cannot easily dissociate. The force of attraction between ions in their lattice is enough stronger than a hydration energy. So hydration energy is not getting break the bond to overcome the bond between ions of calcium and carbonate. So they will insoluble. So nature of solute, the strongness of the lattice force, the lattice energy, the strongness of hydrogen bonding, the salvation energy or the hydration energy, which will depend upon actually dielectric constant. If the solvent is a polar, if a solvent is a polar, so dielectric constant value responsible for the amount of salvation energy or amount of hydration energy released. Dielectric constant, which is actually meaning the what is the nature of any solvent to get the hydration energy, to get the salvation energy during association of the molecule. Means actually tendency of any solvent to break the 1 mole of lattice to get the salvation energy or hydration energy is actually called that dielectric constant. As example, water is the best solvent we have as a polar solvent because of highest dielectric constant is about 80. 80, the value is 80 of dielectric constant in water, and which is responsible for very easily, quickly to break the different ionic lattice and to dissolve the different ionic solute in water. So that's why I call universal solvent to can dissolve a different solid, ionic solid, even covalent solid because of making a hydrogen bond, acids, bases. So nature of solute and solvent, one of the important factors. Then temperature. On increasing the temperature or decreasing the temperature, the what will be the effect of solubility, effect on solubility will depend actually upon the dissolution process is exothermic or endothermic. In the last lecture, I was told about, but even once again, if a dissolution process, there is two possibility now. Dissolution process either endothermic or exothermic. If to making a solution, to dissolving any solute in the water, no matter solute is a ionic or covalent, the process of dissolution is if endothermic, means delta H is positive, endothermic, delta H is positive, that condition on increasing the temperature increase करने पर, on increasing the temperature solubility increases. If the dissolution process is endothermic, so on increasing the temperature, what will be there? Solubility increases. And for the exothermic process, if the dissolution process is exothermic, then on increasing the temperature, solubility decreases. On increasing the temperature, if temperature increases, solubility decreases. So this is the one of the important thing that we have to be learn very easily, quickly, and will show you also in the suppose I'm making a space actually to show you. So for example, let show this. Dissolution process. So there is two different process now. Solid plus aqueous will give you solution. Solid plus aqueous give you solution. There is two possibilities. If the one possibility is if the process is exothermic, means the amount of heat released during the dissolution of solid into the water or into the aqueous solution. So if the solid dissolving the water and the solution is exothermic, the heat is released out. In that condition, you can see they are actually making a equilibrium between them. They are making equilibrium between them. So whenever heat is released out and we increasing the temperature, we increasing the temperature, the reaction must be go backward. According to Lee Chatelier principle, if the heat is released out during equilibrium process, so on increasing the temperature, the reaction must be go backward, and when the reaction go backward, the solid and water will be separated out. That is called solubility decreases, because solid and water is separated out. So solubility decreases. To increase the solubility, the process must be go on, must be go forward. So whenever the process is exothermic, the process is exothermic. Which process? Dissolution process. So when we increase the temperature, solubility decreases because the equilibrium process shifted backward direction. That is the one of the case. Next case is if there is minus heat. If there is minus heat, means endothermic process. Endothermic process means delta H. Delta H is positive. Delta H is positive. So when the process is endothermic, the delta H is positive. On increasing the temperature, the reaction go forward. That is called dissolution process will be increases. The reaction go forward. On increasing the temperature, the process is endothermic. That is important actually. Generally, solid, the solubility of solid in the water is generally endothermic. So if the process is endothermic, on increasing the temperature, the dissolution process is increases because the reaction go forward, the equilibrium shifted forward, which will increase the solubility. So that is the process. Dissolution process must be endothermic to increase the solubility during increasing the temperature. This is the process we have. And this is all about the solubility of solid in a liquid. I hope you will be noted down all these things in your classwork copy, because it is very important to be learn what is the nature of solubility of solid in the liquid, what are the factors affecting, what is the mechanism between them, and what is solvation, hydration, extent of hydrogen bonding, all is about. Now there is another section of this lecture, a video session, that is concentration units. So we'll learn this concentration unit in the next successive lecture. But before that, you have to be noted down all these things, and we'll discuss this concentration unit in the next section just right now. So stay tuned and try to be get a full lecture during a session. Try to note it down if there is any problem. If there is any problem regarding that the lecture, so try to be ask the question in your comment box. Okay, thank you.